way, and the world starts to open as we drift toward the bay. Tell you now, I've never felt a love as strong as this. I wanna be with you when the big one hits, and when the road starts to buckle and the dams start to burst, and we're bathed in a blackout. Girl, it
But surprised to see me again? Didn't think you'd see me back here again, did you? Told you I was gonna be back. Tell ya, tell ya, yeah, 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 tell ya, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, well, in case I don't know who you were expecting, Phil Collins. If you did miss me, thanks for tuning in this time. And if you didn't miss me, tough nuggies. In our last episode, as we recall, Will Robinson was arguing with Dr. Smith on nuclear politics, and then oops, sorry, wrong program. I was going to continue my assault on the Neverett family in Oldies 104, and I may yet do so again. But for now, there are some things other things I need to talk about, and there are some things I want to say, and some things I will say, and should say, and could say, and probably will say during the course of my shows. But for right now, though, I want to focus on an article a while back concerning a report from it's an article in a report on the state of Buffalo radio from the Buffalo Common Council Radio Access Committee. In my last episode, I mentioned the 60-page report. Actually, Darren Neverett mentioned the 60-page report in his sarcastic little newspaper twit article there.
But the heart of the message is here that the Common Council is publishing 60-page report on the state of Buffalo radio is a real eye-opener. I'm almost embarrassed to admit that I work in this industry.
There, and just to let you know that there is such an article here, I brought it with me here, and I'll push it up closer so you get a chance to look at it as close as possible. I hope you get a good look at that. It's dated, but to this day, this information is still just as prevalent, just to this one radio station I'm going to talk about, not as well as Oldies 104. I mentioned the State of Buffalo Radio report here, and I'm going to take a page out of this report because I happen to have had a chance to read this thing, and it really pisses me off and angers me to no end. Yeah, let me slide over here, make sure I'm in the middle. And the radio station I'm going to be really targeting my attack on here is Kiss My Ass 98.5. What I like to call evil in its true form. Now, you may have seen this piece of paper wandering around, making rounds in the city of Buffalo during the last year or so, and I happen to have a chance to read it. And you know what? I'm going to share it with you here. And if this pisses you off as much as it pisses me off, then you should really be jumping on this radio station quickly. And I should also point out that this article here does not just apply to Kiss My Ass 98.5, but also applies to 97 Rock, the Dinosaur Neanderthal radio station, Oldies 104, Oldies 104, Star 102, Q102, whatever the hell it's calling itself, WJYE, The Edge, the country western stations, WNUC and WYRK, whatever, WNSA, whatever the hell they're calling themselves again, B93, WBUF, the schizophrenic radio station, I like to call it. The WBUF has changed its colors about 6 times in as many years. As well, and finally, not to be left out, WBLK. Because they all practice prejudice, discrimination, bigotry. And this article here, I'd like to, I'll show as much as I can, so you can get a chance to look at it as best you can. Because this is definitely the enemy, or the enema, of Buffalo and Western New York. This is one of the major reasons why this city is having so many problems with itself. This fascination with living in the past, constantly drudging up old memories of the 70s again, disco music. People must enjoy losing a hell of a lot, because I sure don't. I got rid of the 70s a long time ago. I would have gotten rid of them sooner, but I didn't know as much then as I do now. However, I'm going to start reading this report here for you. And it was dated July 8th, 1992, but to this very day, that's almost 10 years ago. It may be 10 years by the time this program gets on the air. But to this very day, this is not only Kiss My Ass's 98.5's attitude toward Buffalo, but also all these other so-called Buffalo radio stations' attitude toward the people of Buffalo and Western New York. For some more strange reason, they all seem to think that if they just mention the Buffalo musicians on their radio station, just mention their names, that's supposed to be magic and everybody's supposed to be drawn to them. They also seem to think that if they mention them during things like the Thursday at the Square, that's supposed to promote Buffalo. If that's all the support they can show for Buffalo, then I've basically shown them more support than rightfully deserve, and you people as well. To read this off here, it's dated July 8th, 1992, to the Buffalo Common Council from WKSE FM management concerning the local musicians on commercial radio. Now they have made some small slight improvements. It's always amazing that before I even get started on this, it's always amazing how every time somebody like me or Anthony Violante or the Buffalo Common Council Radio Access Committee or somebody from Buffalo and West New York who are trying to promote the Buffalo and West New York musicians who come from Buffalo and West New York and tell them to play Buffalo and West New York music on Buffalo and West New York radio stations here in Buffalo, New York. And for some strange reason, they have these so-called Buffalo radio stations have this mentality that, nobody in Buffalo wants to support them. Well, duh. That's one of the major, especially with the problems this Buffalo and West New York is having right now. We need all the moral support we can get, and what better way to support it than to have music by Buffalo and West New York musicians played on this among a whole bunch of musicians here. Not only would that let the Buffalo know that they're not stupid asses like everybody in the world seems to think we are, but they'll also tell the rest of the world that we have some intelligence in this city, that we can string certain phrases and words together and make some decent music here. And that always mystifies me how they always want to ignore this. To begin on this thing, the following statement is intended to make clear WKSE's position as to the matter of exposure for local musicians on commercial radio stations in the Buffalo market. Just to pause here for a moment because I'm not as young as I used to be, and so I'm going to have to change scenarios here for a moment. Just give me a moment. Boo! Hope I don't scare everybody. Anyway. Okay, to continue. The following statement is intended to make clear WKSE's position on the matter of exposure for local musicians on commercial radio stations in the Buffalo market. We choose to provide our statement in writing to the Common Council in hopes that we can provide detailed information while reducing the potential for misunderstanding. And this is basically because at the time of this writing, there was hardly any music by Buffalo and West New York musicians on any of these so-called Buffalo radio stations. And this radio report here will make clear that statement in no uncertain terms. I'll read that to you in due time. It is our position that commercial radio stations have no legal or moral obligation to play music by local musicians. And you notice how they try to rationalize why they should not support Buffalo and its people through music, through its musicians, and why they have no moral obligation. Now, why would a moral city like Buffalo definitely want to try a blatantly immoral radio station like Kiss My Ass 98.5? According to this report here from the Kiss My Ass 98.5, they have no moral or legal obligation to support local music, to play music by Buffalo and West New York musicians on their Buffalo radio stations. They said they have no moral obligation. Let me clarify something if you weren't able to pay attention to my last show too carefully on this. Let me see if I can clear what I said here. Now, why would a moral city like Buffalo support a blatantly immoral radio station like Kiss My Ass 98.5? Let me repeat that again. Why would a moral city like Buffalo support an immoral radio station like Kiss My Ass 98.5? Let me repeat that again. Why would a moral city like Buffalo support an immoral radio station like Kiss My Ass 98.5? Let me repeat that again. Why would a moral city like Buffalo support an immoral radio station like Kiss My Ass 98.5? And they say they have no legal obligation. Let me ask you a question, Buffalo. When has it become illegal to support Buffalo in Buffalo? When? Let me repeat that again. When has it become illegal to support Buffalo in Buffalo? Nothing like making Buffalo a minority in its own home, and whoever listens to the minority. This is the city of good neighbors. This is the city of no illusions. Our function is to profit the radio station profitably while serving the public interest according to the guidelines of the Federal Communications Commission. We are pleased to inform you that we operate profitably. Yes, nothing like sucking the life out of a city like these goddamn communist vampires, the leeches are. Cancerous vampire leeches. 60% of the stations in the country don't. And our license was recently renewed by the FCC for 7 more years. Gee, isn't that great? 7 more years of bigotry, prejudice, and discrimination against the people of Buffalo, and teaching the people of Buffalo to practice that as well. Isn't that wonderful? Our radio station has remained commercially viable over the years because we have consistently dominated time spent listening to radio by that portion of the public who is most interested in hearing the latest hits by the most recognized artists on the popular music charts. Simply put, they don't want to. They keep claiming that they will only play music that people want to hear. There was an article about this several years ago concerning this thing, and one question was by one of the commentators was, how can people request music they never get to hear? And that's a perfect question. How can people request music they never get to hear in the station if they never play it? Even just one song an hour during the prime time period would benefit Buffalo greatly in more ways than one. We retain the services of the country's best broadcast consultants, research companies, and in-house employees to make decisions on our playlist. And 9 out of 10 times, most of those people are not even from Buffalo, and basically telling people not to support Buffalo, telling these radio stations not to support Buffalo. I can assure you that at no time has any direct data or direct input from our listeners ever given us reason to believe that a true demand exists for more music by local artists. Yeah, keeping Buffalo and Western New York musicians off the radio stations will usually have that effect on you. It is our opinion that our ratings would be damaged and our profitability be impaired if we were to increase our commitment to local musicians. You hear this? You hear this shit? If they play or support Buffalo, they lose money. This is how much they hate Buffalo. And if they play music by Buffalo and Western New York musicians, it would lower the quality of life in Buffalo if it was played on a Buffalo radio station. If this doesn't tell you folks that they think the people of Buffalo are nothing but shit and crap, I don't know what will. And you brain deads out there, you keep blindly following along with this shit, going along with everything they tell you, never mind anything else. This reduced profitability would most certainly impair our ability to service our community. The community happens to be Buffalo and Western New York. It would most impair our ability to service Buffalo. Yeah, basically they're just telling you, they're telling you outright, they're just basically telling you in outright terms, don't support Buffalo in Buffalo. What kind of bullshit nonsense is this? Over the years, WKSE has helped raise a substantial amount of money and exposure for local civic groups and charitable organizations too numerous to mention. They just won't support Buffalo and Western New York musicians, who are definitely a part of Buffalo and Western New York. Over the years, WKSE has helped raise a substantial amount of money and exposure for local civic groups and charitable organizations too numerous to mention. And boy, isn't it nice to know these men that, what do you think Buffalo and Western New York musicians are? They're a charity. They deserve some support. To continue, we are more than willing to compare our efforts in these areas to those of any station in the country. The rest of the country doesn't give a shit about Buffalo, and this is the practice they want everybody to follow over here. To continue, we will continue to address key issues such as homelessness, crime, drug prevention, education, AIDS, cancer, heart and lung disease, muscular dystrophy, and any other areas where we can improve the quality of life in our community. They just won't support the people of Buffalo and West New York, that's all. We trust that the Common Council views these issues as being equally important and does not intend to spend an inordinate amount of time, energy, and taxpayers' money to cater to an extremely small minority of individuals, basically Buffalo and New York, who have chosen to make it an issue of this matter purely for their own personal profit. To be honest, folks, the only people who would make any profit from this are the musicians, and they would only make money if people would know that people of Buffalo knew that they exist out here. In fact, we are greatly surprised that the council has chosen to hold this hearing at all. And why? Because it involves the people of Buffalo. People, the lifeblood of any city, not just Buffalo, New York. We encourage you to examine the motives of these individuals. Yeah, our motive basically is to support Buffalo and West New York the best way possible through musicians, and by supporting them on the radio station, you support them in other areas of their life through concerts and television appearances and whatever else you've got going on. But I guess those tiny little minds can't figure that shit out while they're busy making money at our expense. We encourage you to examine the motives of these individuals who have formed this coalition, as well as those of the reporter who have chosen to manufacture controversy where none exists.